Welcome back. This week we are going to get into our frequently asked questions by parents or caregivers.
Absolutely. So if we do not have your question in here, if you can think of any questions you want to ask some teachers, let us know and we'll make another one of these. So our first question is, what is it?
How can I make academics fun?
Okay, so this one is one that can be, fun, but also kind of tricky for a lot of parents, especially if it's a subject that your kid is just not feeling. I would say the first way that comes to mind for me is to find a way to make it a game. Whatever you can do to make it a game, a competition, what have you. I would say start with that. I know that kids get into like math problems. You can do something as simple as write it on a water balloon. That was one of the tips in our little newsletter. If you get those, write a math problem on a water balloon, have them solve it and throw the water balloons, and they'll get real into it. Make it a game, make it fun.
Yes, one for me, I love to eat. I love food, I love snacks, and so incorporating math and cooking, for me, that's like the easiest way, because the directions most of the time in the recipe is already written out. Say for instance, we bake a cake. On the back of the box, well, actually it's reading and math. You have to read the instructions and the measurements. The measurements a good way if your child's working on fractions or measurements or even adding. So you can add and subtract the fractions if you're making a small portion or a large batch of something or your cakes. Yeah, that's a fun way.
Yeah, and I feel like what I like about the cooking in particular is that it is a real life skill. A lot of times kids are always, well, what is math for my real life? Why does this matter in my real life? The cooking is a real life skill. Taking your kids to the grocery store with you. I remember when I was young with my mom going to the grocery store, she would give us jobs. Like, your job would be to pick stuff up off the shelf. Your job would be to keep the calculator running so we can figure out how much this all costs. I feel like having kids be a part of that process of just something as simple as, how much are we spending at the grocery store? You keep a running total. Can be very simple and help them connect that to real life.
Ooh, I like the running total. Also, I like rewards. If you have chores, we have a household based on work. As an adult, we get paid for our work, and I'm a firm believer that children should also get rewarded, for their work. So if they get an allowance,
yes,
you have a chore board, and each chore can cost, or you can get paid, a different amount, and you can they can add up their chores. You can do it together, and you all are adding up money.
Yes, talk to them about savings. If you really want to get deep into it, depending on the age of your kids, talk to them about saving things. Talk to them about necessities versus, things that they just want. Talk to them about prioritizing, their money. I feel like that is a really great way to incorporate, again, that real life math into their life and get them to have these real life discussions. So, chores, pay these kids for cleaning up. I like that. I like it.
Yeah, so those are a few ways that you can incorporate academics in a fun way.
So the second question that we got from some parents was about SEL. Tell us what was the question.
So how can I use SEL at home?
Yes. Okay. So this one, very, very important, especially now that we are getting, to, I don't even know how many years we've been in a pandemic. It's been a long time. So there's a lot of trauma associated with that. There's a lot of trauma associated with just day-to-day living. So I feel like one thing that you can definitely do to incorporate some more SEL into your life at home is to just have conversations on a day-to-day basis about things that's deeper than, how was your day? So if you sit down with your kids and you have dinner, ask them very specific questions about the kids in their class. If you want to figure out how their dynamics are going with the other kids in class, tell me about some of your friends at school. Tell me about some kids that maybe you're having some hard times with at school. Tell me about, something fun that happened to you or something challenging that happened to you this week. Ask very, very specific questions so they can just get used to talking to an adult, in those real ways. What else?
I know for me, SEL, some of you all may not know what SEL is, so let me explain to you all what SEL is. SEL is social emotional learning. Okay, so when we say SEL, that's what that means, our social emotional learning. And so you mentioned about comfortability with just speaking with adults. I know for me, a step that helped me out a lot was like journaling when I was younger. You know, I may not be able to verbalize, you know, my feelings or what was going on, but I can write my feelings out. And so I found that a shared journal within a household is an activity that you all, that families can do, so that's keep in touch, and to just like on a deeper level, outside of just having conversations at dinner, because maybe someone may not be as comfortable initially with whatever may have happened to them, and they just want to, you know, share it. So in the shared journal, I would suggest like pick a safe spot a neutral spot where the journal is being kept, and then you all like have a scheduled time where it's like every other day, whatever best works for your household, or when the journal get checked,
right?
And you all can just go over the entries.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that, the shared journals, and you can check in with each other that way. Something else that came to mind that I remember specifically my dad doing when I was younger, shout out to dads, whenever he wanted to have like a serious conversation with me about something very important, he would take me to the lake in Cleveland. He knew that was like my favorite place, so he picked a place that made me feel comfortable, that made me feel safe and happy, and he was just like, you know, let's just sit and talk on a bench and, you know, talk about whatever kind of serious thing we want to talk about, or talk about, you know, whatever kind of whatever's going on in your life. I feel like if you know of a place or of something that makes your kid feel comfortable and safe, I would say really lean into that, especially when you want to have more serious or more in-depth conversations. So especially if you are a father, you know, when we think about social emotional learning, we think about typically mothers loving and bonding with their kids, but this is something that's very important for fathers to do too. So lean into that, dads. Have those real conversations too.
Okay, our last question. What to ask at Meet the Teacher? So we all know that it's about that time. It's back to school time, and you're going to get time to meet your child's teacher and meet admin. So you're probably wondering, what should I ask them? So let's see. One big question I like to just provide parents with, whether they ask me or not, is my classroom expectations. You know, I like to cover what is expected of their child, what is expected of them as a parent, and I also like to share, you know, what's expected of myself. Setting it and establishing those particular like boundaries for me is very helpful for a strong start. And people want to know what they're getting into, and I also want to know what do they expect of me. I also ask the parent, what do you expect, you know, of me as a teacher? And then, I do my best for us to come to an agreement, and that we both can uphold whatever, you know, was discussed as far as those expectations. Another big question I get is homework. It's a lot of different theories on homework, and you know, feelings towards homework. You know, where do I stand on it? For me, homework is essential. Homework is practice. You know, it's important practice.
Yeah. I feel like when I think about homework, it's not necessarily something that's like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to grade every single piece of this homework. But it is something that I feel like it's an opportunity for you as a parent to know exactly what your child is working on any given day. It's the perfect opportunity for the kid to take home some skills and be like, mom or dad, let me show you what I know. Let me show you what we've been working on. So I definitely feel like if you have a teacher that gives homework, do as much of it as you can. And if you have a teacher that doesn't give homework, you can definitely ask them, okay, well, at least what are you guys working on this week, so that I can go look and pull some free resources off Teacher Pay Teacher, or wherever else you want to look to get some free resources. You can give your child their own homework. You know, you guys can come up with some homework yourself. So definitely get homework questions a lot, and the expectation questions a lot. If you're not Miss Hall, who's been with her kids for 7 billion years at this point,
you know.
But if you have a new teacher that your kid doesn't know as well, definitely ask about expectations. Definitely ask very specifically how they choose to or plan to build community within their class. What are some of the activities that they do? What are some of the kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, like reward, like some teachers do lunch with the teacher kind of thing. Like what kind of things do they do with their student to build that kind of one-to-one relationship is a good question to ask as well.
Also, I like to ask about donations. Being a teacher, I like to provide snacks and water, and I like to do celebrations for my students throughout our school year. And so I do like to set up a donation sign-up sheet to where parents, you know, they agree to donate a case of water, a month, and 2 boxes of snack. I feel as though if I get majority of my parents to sign up for donations, we can have snacks throughout the year. And I also, wherever there's a need, I provide the snacks and water for my students. But I try to get everybody on board with my donation sign up sheet. I like to start it off at the Meet the Teacher. That's part of my expectations. Like, I expect for us to have a smooth, cooperative school year, and I also like to reward. And those rewards got to come from somewhere, and so we're all a team.
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah,
I love it. Speaking of everyone being a team, something that I've seen in the past is that when it comes to special education and Meet the Teachers, at some places it's very hit or miss. Sometimes you'll get to meet the special education teacher, sometimes you won't. Sometimes they'll have, time set up for you to talk to the teacher. If you know that your child receives special education services, advocate for yourself, advocate for your child to meet that teacher, to talk to them about what is their schedule like. How often are they going to see your kid? Are they going to pull them out or go in? Try to figure out what's the dynamic like between your teachers. If they're doing a co-teacher model, figure out, how that's going to work and what they envision for that. Just making sure that your child can get the supports that they need in the classroom is crucial. So definitely, if you know that your child is in special education or receiving those services, figure out how you can meet that person too. They are a part of your team and they are there to help your child too. I love it. So, like we said at the beginning of the video, if you have any other questions that you want to ask teachers about going back to school or about your kid or whatever, leave them in the comments. Let us know. DM us if you feel more comfortable that way.
Yes.
And we will make another one of these. Let's just get back to you guys. So
yes, we love to hear from you all.
yes, thank y'all. See y'all next time.